Welcome back to the warm-up. I'm doing something different today. I'm going to try a little new segment I like to call First Take Mistake. And this is basically where I watch first take clips on YouTube, kind of just find some random ones and something that interests me that I can make a point to. Because, Stephen A. and Max always, come up with random, or as Stephen A. would say, blasphemous remarks that are highlight-worthy on their YouTube or Instagram or Twitter. So Max and Stephen A. did a segment this morning with Richard Jefferson talking about if they would rather have Kawhi or LeBron on their team. I didn't really watch the entire thing because I just saw the clips on YouTube, but I had some very interesting quotes about with some people saying. So I'm going to start off. First, Max said, Kawhi Leonard is the best player on earth. He is the reigning finals MVP. He beat the Greek Freak in the playoffs, and he was better than the Freak. And LeBron didn't want any part of him on opening night. What else does he have to do? I really don't know if Kawhi Leonard is the best player currently, because he's good. He's really good. But the whole load management thing kind of throws me off because I'm a Clippers fan. I really don't care about load management as long as we kind of we'll see the result in the postseason, see if anything changes. But he's right. I mean, he's absolutely right. Talking about, we're only in the first quarter of the 2019-2020 season. Kawhi Leonard was the best player in the playoffs last year by a large margin. He beat the regular season MVP. I know it's a team thing where the Raptors beat the Bucks, but we always talk about Kawhi beating Giannis because, if you're the reigning MVP of the regular season, you come into the postseason, you're supposed to make something happen. You're supposed to make some waves. They were supposed to go to the finals potentially, the Bucks were. But they did, and Kawhi beat them. I think they only won in 6 games. They didn't even go to 7-game series. I think Giannis' stat line against Kawhi, if I remember correctly, is 18 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 assists. So he doesn't get to facilitate much, stop scoring, and the rebounds, he's 6'11", so he should be able to get rebounds because he's that height. But not even 5 seconds after Max said this, Richard Jefferson responds with, Kawhi hasn't won an MVP. Which I think is so stupid because when we talk about good players, we talk about all their accomplishments, people always bring up one thing, but I never hear people bring up he has never won an MVP. This is the first time I've heard this in a while, I believe. And this doesn't mean anything. Kawhi doesn't need to be the number 1 player in the world to be the number 1 player of the world, I guess. In the eyes of most people, the MVP is the best player in the world. So, and I don't think Giannis is the best player last season. I think James Harden was. I talk about it all the time, how James Harden should have won the MVP last season. But Kawhi is the most well-rounded player that we have in today's NBA. As of today, Tuesday, December 17th, I think I'm right about that. Kawhi Leonard is the most well-rounded player. And LeBron, it's really close actually now that I think about it. LeBron, Luka, and Giannis are all right there. Luka's top 5 in MVP ranking right now, in my eyes. But Kawhi, he's just good. He does everything. His defense, his offense is slightly lower than some people's offense in the NBA, as of LeBron, Luka, Giannis, KD, people like that. KD's a little bit higher, and Harden's up here, but we're not talking about that. But he is good enough to the point where he can be competitive against these other players in terms of ranking their offensive capabilities and play styles. And Kawhi's defense is astronomically better than most of them. Giannis is up there. LeBron's defense has gotten better this year, but that's just because LeBron is playing defense and he's stupid athletic. So his defense makes him seem like he's playing really good defense when he's just actually trying this year. Luka doesn't really play defense because he doesn't need to. He's more of an offensive load, same with James Harden. But James Harden has been playing better defense. But going back to the Kawhi, I don't have an answer on I would rather take Kawhi or LeBron. 2 really different players, but they're really the same in terms of being well-rounded. LeBron has gotten a 3-point shot this year. He's had a 3-point shot for a while, but he is really starting to knock him down lately. He's averaging the league in assists, getting some rebounds, got some triple-doubles. But Kawhi is jumped up his scoring. He's resting a little bit. He's playing more. His passing's gotten up. He just scored 45 40 plus with Paul George scoring 40 plus against the Timberwolves a couple nights ago. So his scoring is there. We're really going to have to wait until I think we're going to get a good gauge of who I would take after they play Christmas Day. But Richard Jefferson kind of ticked me off by saying that because he doesn't need to win an MVP. He's proven what he needs to prove. He beat Giannis in the playoffs. He's beat everyone in the playoffs. And like they beat the Warriors. They did beat the Warriors, but the Warriors were injured heavily. Clay went out the last game, I think. KD was out basically the entire time. Boogie was in and out. But Kawhi beat them. Like he had some help on the Raptors, but not a ton. And Siakam was there. Van Vliet really stepped up, but other than that, there was no other. He was the only superstar on that team, and so I think he gets a lot of glory for that, as he should. Next quote is Max Kellerman said, "If it's close in the regular season between two people, Giannis and Kawhi, but one guy is significantly better in the playoffs, he's the best. Period. You don't win a ring by winning the most games in the regular season. You might win an MVP from doing that if you're best player on the best team, but there's no absolute reward after, you won the most games, you guys get this reward. No, you get a chance to play in the playoffs, you get a high ranking, so you get home court advantage, and that gives you the best possible shot and the most fair shot to win the title. But Kawhi came out as honestly don't remember if they were a higher or lower seed than the Bucks. I think the Bucks were higher because I think the Bucks won a lot of games last year. I'll check that right now. But it doesn't really matter. But Kawhi kicked Giannis's butt in the playoffs and everyone else's butt. They beat the Sixers, and he obviously had the only buzzer beater in playoff history in a Game 7 to move on, advance to the Eastern Conference Finals against the Bucks. But he beat them in 6 games. I'm almost positive it's 6 games. I'm going to keep saying that because I think that's what happened. But once again, going back to the quote, if it's close in the regular season between two guys, and let's say Giannis is a little bit better than Kawhi in the regular season because he was, but one guy's significantly better in the playoffs, he's the best, and Kawhi is the best. And coming into the season, obviously you talk about the best players in this season. It's kind of hard to gauge how good they are. We've seen guys like Luka and LeBron get even better than last season. But coming into this season, Kawhi was the best player, Finals MVP, won the championship. So we had high expectations for him. So I really think at the beginning of the season he was the best player, and he still is there. Do I think he's the best currently? Like as of right now? And let me get this straight. The best player does not mean that you win the MVP. I don't think that's true at all. I think there have been instances where people have gotten robbed from the MVP. James Harden has gotten robbed of the MVP, but that doesn't mean he's the best player. But some dudes just get the MVP from having really good statistical achievements, such as James Harden, I guess you could say that. But Westbrook was definitely not the best player in the league when he won his MVP. Curry was, you could agree that. I don't know if Giannis was. I really think KD played better than he did. And KD had a phenomenal playoff performance last season. I'm really sad he's injured because I really wanted to see him get in this conversation with best players. But Max Kellerman kind of lost me with with this whole thing. I was riding up with Max, talking about the same things. Kawhi's the best player. He's done the most things. What else does he need to do? He doesn't need to do anything else except for maybe win an MVP. Now, in my eyes, he doesn't need to win an MVP to prove what he's done. He's done what he's done. Won a ring. He's won 2 rings. I know he's won a dynasty in one of them, but both of them have been. He's been the final MVP. But I was up there with Max. He, not even 15 seconds later, after he said it's close to the regular season if one guy's significantly better in the playoffs, and 15 seconds after that, he said if Kawhi was in Toronto, they would have won the championship this year. Like they would win the championship in 2020. And that's where things get a little iffy for me because I don't agree with that at all. I think Kawhi maybe would have gotten to the finals again. I don't know if Giannis has a killer mentality to, let's say, beat Kawhi in the playoffs, have that drive to beat Kawhi in the playoffs. kind of like that mom mentality, I guess you could say. And the Sixers are also out for revenge, and they have been in the process for the past couple of years, and they did really well until they got. They were literally, if that game would have gone into overtime against the Raptors, they could have won and gone to the Eastern Conference Finals. We had a completely different champion. It's completely different turnout. But the East is stronger in my opinion. It's been a lot better than it has in recent years. You got teams like Celtics figured out what they're doing, so he would have had played against. Let's say Kawhi stayed and then every other free agent or trade happened, so Paul George is still with LA, but we're not going to talk about that. So things like that, where Kevin still goes to the Celtics, everything's still the same, except Kawhi's still in Toronto. Let's just place him there. Kawhi goes to Toronto. He has to beat the Celtics, the Bucks, the Sixers. He has to compete against them. He doesn't necessarily have to play against all of them. Then there's teams like the Heat. The Pacers are still good, but Oladipo is not healthy. But if he was healthy, they'd be a lot more of a threat, a lot bigger of a threat. And then teams, I said the Heat. That's pretty much it that I think about it. The Nets, Kyrie comes back, maybe KD comes back. If they both come back, they're going to be a championship contender, obviously. But he would have to go through all of that, and then on the Western side, Western Conference, I don't know who comes out. Maybe LeBron just is playing the same way that he is now, and then they come out. But he'd still have to beat. Let's say the Lakers do. He'd still have to beat LeBron in the finals. LeBron and AD, and I don't think he could. I don't think he could. That is too hard of a task. And Stephen A. responded later on in that video with Kawhi has never been asked to carry the kind of load LeBron James has carried. So I guess we can't. This is in the sense. This segment on First Take was in the sense of would you rather have Kawhi or LeBron? And so we're trying to compare Kawhi to LeBron and say that he's better, he's done more things, he's done by himself. But LeBron, his entire career has almost, outside of the Miami stunt where he was there for a couple years, he's basically had to carry every single team that he's on to the finals. And the man went to 8 straight finals. I really don't care what people, you bring up his record. He's 3-6 in the finals. That man went to 8 straight finals. 8 years. 8 years in a row he was in the finals, and he won 3, I think. Yes, he did win 3. One of them being against, he had a matchup with the Golden State Warriors, but not obviously. I stopped myself from saying that. Maybe the best team in NBA history. And he played against them 4 times in a row. 4 years in a row. From 2015, 2016, 2017, and 2018. He played them 4 years in a row. And that man is the load he carries on any team. He knows what he's getting into when he gets onto a team. Obviously, he didn't make the playoffs last year, so it's kind of sad to see the streak snap. But it was very, I don't know. I'm trying to answer the question, and if I'd rather have Kawhi or LeBron, I don't know, honestly, because Kawhi's postseason last year was phenomenal, and LeBron's was obviously non-existent because he didn't make the playoffs. But LeBron has more experience playing in the playoffs and the finals, obviously, more than any player, easily by any player currently. I think the next up is probably Steph Curry in terms of playing the most finals. I think that is. Those Warriors guys. But he has the most experience. He's been in the league for 17 years this coming season. And he's playing better than he ever is. He's looking more athletic than since Miami, I think, in my opinion. He's looking ridiculous. And he's passing, averaging the league in assists, leading the league in average assists with 11. It's just crazy what he's doing. But Kawhi and the lack of emotion that man has and just the Terminator mindset that he has is just, it's almost like a computer. It really, what people say about him is true. He really just shuts off and just zones in like a robot and just goes. It's crazy, and I love that he's on my team. But I'm going to have to go with LeBron. I'm not saying LeBron is better than Kawhi in terms of winning an MVP, and I would. Who would I rather have on my team? I'd rather have LeBron James. If I was going to start a team, I'd rather have LeBron James because mainly let me see. LeBron is probably the greatest playmaker. This is my point. LeBron is the greatest playmaker right now in the NBA currently. I would say he's gives people the best opportunities to make shots while scoring. And the reason that I pick him over Kawhi is because his playmaking. Kawhi can playmake, but not even close to the level that LeBron can. And the fast break transitions that he can do with grabbing rebound, Westbrook style, and just running with it, getting assists, scoring. That's when the Lakers' offense is really deadly. But Kawhi's defense is also a factor. So would I rather have Kawhi's defense or LeBron's playmaking? Because other than that, I think they're almost the same. They both have mid-ranges. They both have like post fades. They both can drive and transition pretty well. They're both really strong. They both can shoot the three. I would say Kawhi can knock down the three better than LeBron can. LeBron just shoots more, so it looks like he makes more. And LeBron's a kind of a flashier player than Kawhi is. So I think their offensive capabilities cancel each other out. So it's either LeBron's playmaking or Kawhi's defense. And I take LeBron's playmaking because you can have guys like Danny Green and Anthony Davis make up the defense on that team. But LeBron's size is also, I don't really think about this very often, but his size, what he does at his size is unbelievable. So having the playmaking at that size, like Ben Simmons basically, with everything else that he does offensively, I would take that over Kawhi. Has great defense, love him, plays great defense, scores out of his mind sometimes. But I'd rather have my guy, main player on my team, be the playmaker and be at the height and offensive capabilities that he has, instead of being the great two-way player that can't play make, because then you have to have another guy play make, and then it just, I don't know. I would rather have playmaker with more defenders than defender and then maybe good defenders and then playmakers. That's how I would take it. Mainly because I like running a fast-paced offense with passing, but defense is important too. But that was kind of a long and drawn-out thing. But I don't care about load management. I don't care about load management as a Clippers fan because I don't get to watch all the games sometimes because I have other things to do, such as schoolwork, or I sometimes just can't get the games. But if Kawhi's not playing that night and I'm not watching the game, as long as they win, I'm fine. Like, I don't care. I'm not watching the game. I'm not mad that he's not playing. I do understand the pain people feel about buying tickets to LA and then going to the game and then not seeing Kawhi or Paul George play. That kind of sucks. But I mean, listen to the Raptors fans. Are any of them like, oh man, January 22nd, I went to go watch a Raptors game, then Kawhi wasn't playing, and I hate Kawhi because he wasn't playing the one time. No one's gonna say that because they won you a ring. As long as Kawhi gets to the finals, and I'm not saying he's gonna win a ring. I don't know what's happening in terms of who's the finals, who wins a ring. But if Kawhi wins a ring, I'm not mad about any of this load management crap. And I'm not really mad about it right now because I'm not watching the games. I'm not watching most of the games, and all the games that I have watched, he's been in them basically, except for a couple. I did watch the Bucks game where he sat out, and the Jazz game that he sat out. But I'm fine with it. I really don't care as long as my man is healthy, and he's playing when he needs to play in the big moments in the playoffs. That's fine with me. I really don't care. I don't give a crap about him winning an MVP in the regular season if he can't perform in the playoffs. You're gonna have a guy who can. I don't understand people who say this. Giannis is not better than Kawhi because, he's better. He was better. This is a real argument I heard. Giannis is better because he played better for longer than Kawhi. When Kawhi sat out like 22 games last season, I think he's played 60. So Giannis is a better player because he did more in a longer span. Okay, wins an MVP for that of the regular season. But because that missed time that Kawhi had, he got to sit out, play the playoffs, win a ring, and beat Giannis in the I can't wrap my head around people who don't agree with that. Like, how does that... I don't know. If that doesn't make sense to you. I don't know what you guys are on. Like that I don't understand. But yeah, hope you guys like this kind of short, definitely not short, this different kind of segment that I'm doing just by myself, talking about the things people say online. This week was called First Take Mistake. I don't know if I'm going to do another First Take thing. Maybe I'll do a Colin Cowherd or a Jump. Sometimes they have some crazy headlines on there. But I'll try to get to you guys every week with a crazy headline and then talk about it by myself. Maybe I'll have one guest star on, talk about it, or I don't know, maybe I'll call in some of my buddies. I want to call in and talk about it. But yeah, thanks y'all for watching. See you later.